Hello, hello, we're back. It's been a while. How's everyone been? How are you, Mia?
I just got off of the train.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in a while. Where'd you go?
Man, I've been hanging around with the wrong crowd.
Did you run off and join the circus?
Hey, how'd you know, man?
Well, we are here once again for Refried Scenes, and today we are doing Nightmare Alley, which I didn't even know was a remake when I saw it in the theater.
I know, it was Daryl that informed us.
You're going to do this for Refried Scenes because it's a remake. And I'm like, what?
Oh, okay.
Guess we'll do it for Refried Scenes. So, this is the new one is done by Guillermo del Toro. The old one is a 1947 film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it takes place in 1939.
Yeah, it takes place earlier, right after the Great Depression.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, directed by Edmund Goulding, who I don't recognize. This seems to be, he did Dark Victory, so he has, Grand Hotel. Okay, so he has done some pretty decent films previously. This one stars Tyrone Power and Joan Blondell. Though Joan Blondell doesn't play the love interest in this, she plays Xena. Is it Xena?
Yeah.
Okay. I know I was having trouble.
Madam Xena. Yeah.
We saw these like a while ago, and then life happened.
Back in early December.
And then life happened, and so now we're just like trying to remember everything. So bear with us. But, you want to tell us about the 1947 Nightmare Alley?
Well, there's not much difference between the two, so we'll kind of run down both. But it starts with our main character, Stan, getting off of a train and wandering through where he sees people moving and breaking down circus tents. And he's offered a job to run off with the circus.
Yeah.
And sort of be like a handler with any muscle requirements of the circus.
Yeah. And then he falls in with Xena, who has a...
She's the clairvoyant.
She's the clairvoyant. It is a show. She's not like... She admits she's not psychic.
Yeah. What's cool about both movies is they go into the... sort of the trickery of it.
Yeah.
You get a behind-the-scenes look on how they handled that sort of stuff and swindled people for their money. So
I'm going to disagree a tiny bit about swindle. I think the money is freely given.
Yeah, it is entertainment. Yeah. They are providing a source of entertainment. Yeah,
and we'll get to the new one because Xena does something in the new one that I actually really appreciated. But in the old one, it's very much here's here comes the saps, let's take their money.
And he has an affair with her. He tells her what a bad guy he is, not to fall for him. But you gotta kind of get the sense that she does anyway.
Yeah. And she's married to Pete. Who is a drunk.
Yeah, he's an alcoholic.
Yeah. We should probably discuss the geek situation at this point.
Okay.
Because the owner of in the old one, does the owner of the circus tell Stan about the geek? Or is it...
He witnesses. He wanders. Yeah, he goes into... He's exploring all of the attractions at the circus. And the first one that he sees is a impoverished man in a cage that's unkempt and kept like a wild animal, really. And so for entertainment, they ask the audience for a quarter or dime or whatever it is to watch the geek bite the head off a chicken.
Right, a live chicken.
And they've kept this man so starved that he would do whatever.
And he's also obviously an addict. And they probably keep him supplied with whatever he's addicted to.
Yeah. Just on the edge of madness.
Yeah.
It's really, really sad.
But it is implied that Xena, because Pete is a complete alcoholic, Xena is the one who kept Pete from becoming the geek of the circus, because that was what they were looking toward. But she's like, oh, no, he's I'm going to make sure that he's
fine.
Going to be...
He's fine.
He's fine. But Stan learns from Pete the art, or how Pete used to... Because Xena and Pete used to have this huge show that they toured the world with.
Yeah, and they would work the audience in pair to get information from audience members so that Xena can sell this act that she is reading their minds.
Yeah. And it was a code. It was a verbal code using certain words and certain inflections to tell.
It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it's actually quite fascinating to tell the blindfolded person what they need to say. But of course, then Pete became an alcoholic, and they lost their show, and they're now at the circus, kind of doing the same thing, but it's more of a smoke and mirrors type.
Yeah, they're still
situation.
the popular show at this circus for sure. And so Stan learns. He's learning how to run a circus from the owner, and he's learning how to do this act with Xena.
Right.
From Pete. And I think there's some other tricks that Pete teaches him.
Yeah.
But I can't think of what
Pete's
they are.
kind of an
at this
all-around.
point. Yeah.
Excuse me. But Stan also meets Molly.
She's the shy, demure,
young. She's the electro girl who takes jolts of electricity, which is basically just plasma balls. It's nothing. There's no electricity going through her, basically. But she is very shy, and she's very quiet, and she's very bookish. And
an easy mark.
An easy mark.
So Stan romances her, cut ties with Xena, and basically lets Pete confuse the liquors.
Yeah. Now in the original, because there's two different types of alcohol that Xena deals with. It's the stuff she gives Pete, which is the stuff he's addicted to. And then there's stuff that is
wood alcohol,
which is used...
I don't know what that is.
It's a cleaner. It's used for cleaning things. Excuse me, sorry.
So it's like bleach.
Yeah. It's alcohol, but it's not digestible alcohol.
Right.
And in the original, Stan doesn't deliberately give Pete the wood alcohol. The bottles look very much the same, and he confuses the two.
Right.
And Pete actually dies because he ingests wood alcohol. We'll get to the remake here, but at that point, Stan just decides to leave and do his own thing.
Well, I interpreted it that because Stan is the one that's stocking the alcohol, that there was some intention there, and he leaves because of his guilty conscience.
Yeah,
that's my take personally, but it is not spelled out.
Yeah, even if it was accidental, and we're talking the original here, even if it was accidental, he still feels very guilty because he basically killed Pete.
Yeah.
So he decides he's going to try his hand at doing his own show.
Right, and conveniently now he has all the information that he needs to form a foundation for this.
Right.
So, and he makes it pretty big. He's very successful, and he brings Molly along
as his lady in the audience who's finding marks for him.
Yes, and the rest of the circus is very upset. They feel like he's taking advantage of her and force them to marry or pressure them to marry.
Right. He's not real keen on the subject, but they actually do marry.
Yeah, he's definitely not keen on that. And he makes it obvious that it's a begrudging wedding for him. But he does care for...
He cares for her, but it's obvious. I don't think Stan can really love anybody.
No. He finds her attractive.
Yeah. She's pretty. And she makes a good sidekick.
Yeah.
For the most part. Although...
And she's not very bright, so he figures he can trick her.
Yeah.
He can just persuade her to do...
whatever he needs
to follow along with his schemes.
Yeah.
So they do this clairvoyant act, but it gets a little morally questionable with how he pretends that he can talk to people's dead loved ones, and just the cost that people are willing to spend to talk to their past loved one for a moment it's just so sad.
And we see that nowadays.
Yeah, and he's capitalizing on that, and it's just gross.
Yeah.
And Molly goes along with it in the original.
Yeah. She's not really hesitant at all in the original.
No. She misses being at the circus. We see her make phone calls.
Yeah, because her dad is a strong man in the circus. Or her
Bruno,
yeah. In the original, it's her dad. In the remake, it's her dad as well.
No, it's just... her dad has passed, and Bruno is
just raising
like
her.
Overwatching her as a promise to her dad.
So she's being looked after basically by the members of the circus, and she misses her family basically.
Yeah, but Stan doesn't want her to communicate with them, so she has to kind of keep that in secret.
Right.
Anyway, so the plot gets just dirtier and dirtier the more he gets into these. What do you call those? Like seance type of?
Yeah, he starts to fashion himself as a medium. Who can talk to dead people.
That's a better way to say it. Thank you.
And then he meets the psychiatrist. What is the psychiatrist's name? Because, man, I only know her as the psychiatrist.
I don't know. Ezra Grindle, though,
is the mark for them. Lilith Ritter.
Lilith. Okay, so Lilith goes to one of his shows and sort of tries to trick him. Mm-hmm. And what happens? I forget what
she
happens.
knows it's an act. He actually gets everything right because Molly is feeding him the information through word inflection and word usage. But she knows it's all an act, and she wants to utilize his act to basically take money from
one of her
clients, who is not
a bag of dicks.
Yeah. Who is not a nice man and is involved in some shady criminal activity.
He's a very wealthy bag of dicks.
Yeah. And so she goes along, she recognizes what is happening during the act, and then she talks to Stan separate and says, "Hey, we should do this.
I've got a client.
I have a client." In the original, she's not flagrantly a bad person, and you don't know if she's motivated just by greed or whatever, because who plays her in the original? Helen Walker plays her very straight. Mm-hmm. It's a very
absolutely.
Yeah, everyone else is
she's the only smart woman.
Yeah.
in the movie.
Yeah. She plays it very straight, and she's very upfront with Stan. She's like, we're just going to, trick him, basically. Mm-hmm. And Stan wants to go, Stan's all for it.
He has to talk Molly into playing along here. Here's where she is a little hesitant.
Yeah.
But she does play along, and, he gets a bundle of cash for like a beginner trick that they pull on this Ezra Grindle because he's suspicious.
Yeah.
So he gets a little cash from that just to see if he knows his stuff, and they do swindle Ezra Grindle out of that. And so the deal is that Stan is going to keep his cash from that at Lilith's office. Because you don't want it around Molly.
Right.
Things would... There would be suspicion.
They're living in a hotel.
Yeah. There would be suspicion. Yeah. So then now they concoct this really big scheme in the third act of this movie where Ezra Grindle is really missing his daughter, who has passed because he forced her to get an abortion, and she bled to death. Is how I took it.
That's what I.
They're using language
euphemism.
From the 40s.
Yeah, they do not spell it out in the 40s. In the 47 version, they do not spell it out. They pussyfoot around all of the language in the 1940s.
Absolutely.
And I'm assuming that's because of the Hays Code. They couldn't actually tell you what was going on. But yeah, she died under less than stellar circumstances, and he wants to speak to her one last time. And
his whole life he's been wrought with guilt over this.
Yeah. So yeah, he wants.
And Molly happens to look
a
her.
little like her. So
so they get a white dress, and they get a wig, and they get lights, and
they're gonna do the whole ghost hunters thing.
They're gonna play music and just wander these extravagant gardens. And she's got blood coming from her womb, like on the dress. And it's just very dramatic and smoky. This is late at night, of course. And Ezra Grindle is like, "Oh my God, there she is! There she is! There she is!" And so they concoct this scheme. But the closer Ezra Grindle gets to Molly, he gets just more emotional. Molly is feeling like, oh my God, this is the wrong decision to do. I should not have agreed to do this. And so she gives the jig up.
Yeah.
She's just like, oh my God, I can't do this. I gotta get out of here. She runs away.
Yeah.
And Grindle is pissed.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already given this man, I think, $20,000.
It's like $150,000. It's
a lot of money
for 1947. It is. Yeah, he's promised $150,000 in 1947 money, which is
I don't know where I got $20,000 then.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So naturally, Stan is now a marked man. They're coming after him, and you
hear sirens. This is shot really well in the original.
It's actually not a badly made film. The 1947 version is actually a really well made film.
Yeah, but he's like running from the police, and
he goes to Ritter's house because he wants to get his money so he can go on the run, basically.
It's her office, though.
It's her
right?
office. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think her office is.
It's on the upstairs of something.
Yeah, I think it's actually in her home.
Oh, okay.
Because he goes there at night, and she's actually in a dressing gown. So I'm assuming her office is in her home.
I just know when he goes to her office, it's a flight up.
Yeah, but his money is not there.
His money's not there. She's got a recorder because she's a therapist.
She's a therapist. She records all of her sessions.
She's recording him going, I don't know what you mean.
Yeah.
What happened? Making it sound like he's been her patient for a while.
Yeah.
And
you're having these delusions.
He's delusional. He's got hallucinations. He's done this, and she's never agreed to anything.
Any of this.
So of course there is no money because this
was all her scam.
Yeah. So she double crossed.
This is the moment because it's played so straight in the original. You don't realize that she is completely a bitch until she looks at him because those police are coming in because she's called the police. And the sirens are coming in, and he's like, "Oh my God, the sirens!" And she's like, "What sirens?"
Yeah,
is at that
she
point
really
like,
plays it well.
Wow,
yeah, that was the surprise.
Yeah, it's like, damn, woman, that's cold. That's cold.
So now he's got
penniless.
his wife that's not doesn't want to be with him anymore.
Mm-hmm. He does no money at all.
He has no money.
And he's basically...
And he's burned bridges with the circus.
Yeah.
And, I mean, so he goes on the run again, and he gets on a train.
Yep. And he ends up at another circus. Where they offer him the one role he can actually do, because he's now an alcoholic as well. He's been living with bums.
He's been living with train hoppers.
In this version, he has no aversion to alcohol throughout the film. It's pretty standard that he drinks. He doesn't drink to excess, though, but he becomes an alcoholic.
Yeah, so older Stan, older, penniless, impoverished, addicted Stan wanders into a circus, and I think he's looking for Molly.
I think,
right?
I think
in his mind,
he is kind of looking for Molly, or he's looking for that feeling he had when he first joined the first circus, where he felt he was a part of something.
Yeah, that could be it too. And so he's offered a job as the geek,
and he takes it because, Mister, I was born to play this role.
Yeah.
And then later on, he has a breakdown, and they're trying to corral him back into his geek cage, and he's running around, and wouldn't you know it, he's at the same circus that Molly is working at, and she runs to him, Stan, and oh, Molly, and
you cannot believe that this pretty girl with a solid support system
would take this dude
back. After how he treated her,
yeah, Molly, you're stupid.
I was just so crestfallen when I saw that.
And I seriously think, I have not read the book. It is on my TBR now because I do want to read it, because I want to see what the ending is in the book. This happy, and I say quote unquote happy, because let's face it, he's an alcoholic and she's going to be miserable. It seems tacked on. It seems so tacked on, particularly watching the new version.
Maybe you're right. Let me know how the story goes, because I definitely did not appreciate that.
Yeah, because this is based on a book, and I do want to read the book. But
my problem with this movie is, should we talk about the second one? And then go over our issues?
We can go over our issues with both. But let's talk about the second one.
Okay.
Okay.
So in the second one, this movie opens with a flashback of Stan putting a wrapped body into floorboards of a 2-story house in the middle of nowhere and burning it down.
Yeah.
And he's walking away.
Yeah.
And then he gets on a train.
Right. So
and wanders into the circus.
You immediately know there's something bad in Stan's past.
Or maybe it was a mercy.
That's you don't know until
maybe
much
it was
later.
Merciful, right?
Yeah, you don't know until much later what is going on with that, but you know that there's a reason why he is basically on trains and not getting a standard job.
Yeah. So much the same way he wanders in, he receives a job, he sees the geek, he meets Madame Xena. They start an affair. He learns from Pete all these things.
The character of Pete is much more sympathetic in this one. Maybe because it's played by David Stratham, and I just love that actor. I really
he cares so much for Xena. That's what it is.
Yeah. That is obviously a very strong relationship.
Yeah.
And although she may sleep around because she runs the bathhouse, and I think she's probably prostituting herself out a little bit.
Right.
It's still a very strong relationship because she loves Pete.
He is in full service to her.
Yeah. Even though he's very much still an alcoholic.
Very much. Very much. Well, but he's functional, like, during the day. And so, again, he's used for the muscle. Like, he stocks supplies. He collects ticket fare. He just kind of does the all-around stuff. And then Willem Dafoe is the owner of the circus.
And Willem Dafoe's the one who shows Stan...
Much bigger role.
Much bigger role. Yeah, much bigger role here. Because he has Stan stocking the alcohol, and he is very purposeful in telling him that the green box is the drinking alcohol and the red box is the not drinking alcohol. Why you would have those two boxes side by side is a bit of a question, but whatever, Willem Dafoe. It's your circus, you run it. So when we get to the point where Stan goes to get Pete alcohol, he deliberately chooses from the red box.
Yeah.
There's really no...
He even pauses to think about it.
Yeah. Because at this point, in this version, Stan does not drink.
No.
He people offer him drinks and he says no. He does not.
At one point he says because his dad used to drink.
Yeah. So he deliberately gives Pete the wrong alcohol.
Yeah. Because he's timed this.
Yeah.
He knows, okay, I've learned all I can learn from these people.
And Pete has a book and he steals the book with all of the codes in it.
Yep. And he studies it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, now's my time to shine. He was swooning this young, pretty, but naive Electra.
Yeah. Played by Rooney Mara, who I didn't
Rooney.
actually Rooney Mara. Rooney Mara. I always want to pronounce her name wrong. I didn't actually mind her in this film.
I've never been a fan of hers.
I've never been a fan, but I didn't necessarily mind her in this film. But yeah, he woos her and convinces her to run away with him.
Yeah, and he's up against some more resistance with that because Bruno is more of a role in this one also, and he even punches him once. I think.
Yeah.
He's like, I heard you were in her tent last night, and I'm supposed to be protecting her.
Yep. And you don't want Ron Perlman punching you, man. That man may be in his 70s, but he'll pack a wall.
And we got to know you. You're a piece of shit. But she runs away with him anyway.
She loves him.
Yeah. Although there's no talk of marriage.
No.
So they get a nice apartment.
Yeah, and they start their act, and it's very well received.
Yeah, they're making some money.
But, the one thing I wanted to talk about with Xena, and the thing I actually really appreciated about the new version, there is a woman who comes to the circus, and Xena kind of tricks her about her dead daughter, I think. And she sees her afterwards and wants her to actually speak to her dead daughter. And Xena returns her money and says, I don't do spook shows. She informs the lady it's all an act. She shows her how it was done. And she says, I'm not a medium. I don't talk to the dead and I don't do spook shows. And I actually really appreciated that for a circus as entertainment, Xena would do this, but she's not going to really just steal people's money to talk to their dead siblings or dead children.
Mm-hmm. That's where she draws the line.
Yeah.
And in the
Stan
rest,
has no line.
Pete also agrees with this.
Right.
And Bruno, all of the circus agrees that
shows.
This is the line where we draw. In the sand, we're not going to cross that.
Right.
Well, Stan doesn't have now he's without the circus with nobody to tell him what's right and wrong. So of course, that's where he goes.
And Polly does not
Molly.
Molly. Why do I want to call her Polly? She does not want to do this.
No.
She does not want to do any sort of
she's
psychics.
vocal about.
She's very vocal about it. She stands up for herself a bit more in this version.
Yeah, she even leaves him for one. I forget why she's about.
She's about to leave because he wants to do the seance. There's two different shows.
Yes, that's right. He told her the scheme, and she said, "I can't believe that you're going down this road. If you do this, I will leave you." And she goes to the train station.
Yeah, there's two different schemes he runs here. One is talking to, I think, a governor and his wife about their dead son who died in the war, and the governor's wife really wants him to speak to her dead son, and he does. And I think that's the breaking point for Molly at that point. She's like, that's just not right. And it ends tragically because after speaking to her quote-unquote dead son, the woman kills herself and kills her husband and then kills herself.
Yeah, murder-suicide.
Yeah, thinking that they'll be...
That she's going to see him.
Yeah, they'll all be reunited now. But then...
that was a beautiful scene.
Yeah.
That was... Mary Steenburgen.
Yeah. But Polly goes to leave at that point, and she's actually at the train station, and he convinces her to come back for this one last job, which is the Ezra.
Mm-hmm. And this is a little bit of a change because in the original, it's Ezra Grindel's wife that commits suicide from the seance. It's not a murder-suicide.
Yeah.
But
here... Ezra Grindel is not a good man.
And you only hear about that from, they're listening to the radio.
Right.
It's not...
Yeah.
It's not seen or shown or anything.
In the new version, you were shown that Ezra Grindel is not a good man at all. He is a rat bastard.
He's even got a bodyguard.
Yeah. played by Richard Jenkins. Because it's a Del Toro film, so Richard Jenkins has got to show up somewhere.
He did great.
And he did absolutely.
He killed it.
He killed it. And several people. But, he wants to... once again, they're going to...
They want to conjure his dead daughter, Dory.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think this is actually his ex-girlfriend or something.
Oh, is it? Not his daughter?
I think it's a... In the new one, at least, I think it's a girlfriend.
Okay. I got the impression it was his daughter with his wife.
I suppose we should talk about the therapist in this one, who's played by Cate Blanchett.
Yeah.
Not my favorite performance here.
Hey, but that lipstick does all the acting. That bright red.
The bright red. But I feel like...
Oh, sorry.
I feel like everyone in the new version is playing this... It's a noir film, but everyone's playing it pretty straight, except for Cate Blanchett.
Every line she delivers, she's got the tears welling in her eyes.
She just speaks like this, and everything is so dramatic, and you know, she's this noir femme fatale, and
she really wants to seduce Stan away from Molly.
Yeah, she's very upfront with wanting to have sex with him, and she's very... I don't know. There's no ambiguity as to whether or not she's a good person or a decent therapist. She is a bad person, and you know it. So I don't know why he trusts her, other than she wants to have sex with him.
Yeah,
and she's pretty. So
well, and he figures if we can run this scam,
then I won't have to work again because it's a lot of money.
Yeah. And with this woman, I could do another scam. Yeah. She's pretty smart.
Yeah.
Unlike my bride.
Yeah.
Or girlfriend.
So he convinces Molly to do the one last thing.
Yeah. He gets her to the train station, beats her at the pass so she doesn't make it on the train, and somehow convinces her to do this by saying it's the last.
It's the last thing. It's a lot of money. They don't have to do the show anymore. They can go wherever they want.
Yeah.
And she doesn't have to talk to the guy or anything. She just has to put on this dress and walk through this garden.
And it's a good thing for him.
Yeah.
This will bring him happiness.
Yeah, this will make him happy. This will be a good thing for both of them.
Yeah.
So she does it, and it goes horribly, horribly wrong.
Yeah. So when Grindel realizes that he's been taken, he calls for his bodyguard who's in the house, right?
Yeah.
And then his bodyguard comes rushing out, sees him, like, badly beaten.
Yeah, because Stan just starts wailing on him.
Yeah.
And the bodyguard starts firing at them. And Stan and
as they're getting away in the car.
Stan and Molly... his girlfriend. Stan and his girl running for their car.
While being shot at by this bodyguard, and he just
runs him over.
So he's pretty much killed Grindel.
Yeah.
By how badly he's beaten him.
I'm pretty sure he's dead at that point.
He knows he is going to die of a concussion because he's not going to get up from that fight. And now he backs over the bodyguard. So he's killed him.
Yeah, he hits the bodyguard and then puts it in reverse and makes sure the job's done.
Yeah, and Molly is like, you did not have to do that.
And she's freaking out. She's completely done at this point. She's just like, let me out of the fucking car. Let me out of the car. And he never sees her again. She runs.
Oh, yeah, she's out of there.
She's out of there.
He's lucky she didn't turn him in.
She might have. I mean, you have no idea who... You assume it's the therapist who called the police. Because he goes back to Ritter's office and here is her office.
Yeah.
Where she keeps all of her recordings and his money, because he wants to grab his money. And of course it's all $1 bills. There's no... He thinks it's $150,000 and it's not.
It's not even $150 probably.
Yeah, probably not even $150. So he goes to strangle her.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, he goes to kill her, and then he hears the sirens, and he makes her run for it.
And
he is actually and she actually is the one who convinces him to start drinking.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of pressure from her in the seduction routines
to take a drink. Have a drink and just take a drink. It's just one
relax.
drink. Just a
you're
whiskey.
too uptight. Come on, man. What's the problem?
You'll need to relax to do this job or whatever. So she has convinced him to start drinking, and he, of course, has continued that.
And by now, we've seen enough flashbacks to know that he did kill his dad.
Yeah, he allowed his father to... Now, his father was abusive and was a horrible person, but he
was sick and dying at the end, and Stan takes his blankets and opens the window so this man just freezes. I mean, how... That is a cruel death.
That is cruel. Yeah, I don't care how abusive the dude was. That's... You're basically the same at this point. Yeah. So, you know that Stan's not a nice guy. At all. And never has been. And he makes a run for it, but he's got no money. And now he can't go back
and he has, in order to get away from the police, he has to climb into a train car, like deep into a train car, so the police miss him, and so the train takes off.
Mm-hmm. And he falls in with some...
This is a cargo train, not a passenger train.
Right.
But yeah, so he falls in with these people, and he tells them these stories, and he's still got this romantic notion that he's this great mentalist. And
meanwhile, they're just taking his last watch and everything for drink, so he can have drinks. Yeah.
So as time passes, we don't know how long he's hanging out with them, but he decides to try to go back and get a job as a mentalist. At a carnival. He's completely unaware of how much of an alcoholic he is.
Yeah.
Like, he's really bought into this delusion of greatness.
He can still run an act.
So, this carnival owner is disgusted by Stan's appearance and tells him he smells like liquor and get out of here. And then he's like, well, wait, we do have a job.
It's a special job. It's a temporary job.
Just temporary. So he gives him a job. So you can
get back on your feet.
Yeah. So we can find somebody else that's...
Yeah. Because this is a specialty act, man.
And it's very familiar as to what William Dafoe...
Yeah, it's the exact speech that Willem Dafoe's
speech earlier in the movie.
He gives to the person that he's going to offer the job of the geek.
Yeah. And Stan says, "Mister, I was born for it." End credits.
And that's the end of the movie. I like the fact that this did not have the tacked on pseudo happy ending.
No reunion with Molly.
No
woman that was like, "Oh yeah, Stan, you're back.
Save you. I will make sure you're okay." No, it's just he is now the circus geek. So I can't say I loved either of these films.
No, I didn't like them. My issues with the first one is around the misogyny of...
It's 1947.
Women's equality. And you're just going to get that with a film based in 1939. That's just how it is.
It's just, you're not going to...
But Molly is just really written as a complete idiot. But not just an idiot, the ideal wife. And I just don't like that those two are incongruent.
I know
gross.
What they're trying to set up at the end of that first one is that, oh, look, they're the new Xena and Pete. He's an alcoholic and she's going to protect him. But he doesn't earn Pete's distinction. Stan is just not a good guy.
No, he's a complete narcissist.
Yeah, I never got the feeling that Pete was a complete asshole.
Right.
So
that's true.
And I don't think that Molly in the first one is smart enough to be a new Xena. So it's just great. You had to tack on this kind of happy ending that really isn't all that happy.
No.
The best thing about the first one is
and you feel bad for her because she's going to be the one that's miserable, taking care of this piece of shit.
Yeah.
And that's what she's going to do. She's going to take care of him.
She's going to continue to take care of him until he drinks himself to death or does something stupid.
Yeah.
So, the best thing about that film is the psychiatrist, because she's just played so straight.
Yeah. And although she is trying to seduce Stan, it's more subtle because she's
far more subtle. Yeah.
She opens the door with the dressing gown, as you said.
Yeah.
Like,
she's not. It's not.
Oh, you showed up in the middle of the night. Yeah. This is what I was wearing to bed.
It's not like, sitting on her desk and posing for him like Kate Blanchett does.
She does.
It's far more subtle. That being said, I did not like Tyrone Power as Stan. Tyrone Power for me was always just this 1940s tough guy. I can't remember a film where I've actually liked him in it. So he was just the epitome of machismo.
Yeah.
And I just didn't like it. There's no subtlety to his character. I didn't really want to know anything more about Stan.
The new one, who's the standout performance in the new one? I would say I was really disappointed in Kate Blanchett because I'm a fan of hers.
I'm a fan of hers, and I said this when I reviewed Nightmare Alley. I said, I never thought I'd say that the worst thing about a film is Kate Blanchett, but
yeah, she was the worst. But I wasn't really.
I liked Bradley Cooper as Stan.
He's okay,
but he's not. I think the standout would probably be Richard Jenkins because he's playing off character.
Yeah. Absolutely. He was the best part of the movie.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful looking film. Del Toro does not make ugly films.
Right.
I mean, you can go back and watch Mimic and it's set in a freaking New York subway. It's still a beautiful looking film. So the art direction is really great and the cinematography is really great. I just didn't care enough about any of these people because none of them are really nice people.
Madame Zena
and Pete.
I liked her.
In the new one, I did care about Madame Zena and Pete.
Right.
But again, it's still, they may love each other, but it's still a toxic relationship because she's just enabling his alcoholism. So I can't, I will say that I like the new one better, but it is not by far not my favorite Del Toro film.
Yeah, I like the new one better simply because it has the absence of Molly being an idiot. Dude. Yeah. Here in the new one, she has more of a voice. She's more vocal when she's
when she's put in situations that she doesn't want to be in.
Right. She tells Stan that he's like, this isn't right. But it's still a close call.
It's still a close call. Yeah, I won't read the book just because I'm interested to see if that ending was tacked on in the 47 film. But I am surprised. I am really surprised that Nightmare Alley is up for Best Picture at the Oscars because I don't think it's that great a film.
Yeah, you told me that this morning when I showed up here, and I was like,
what? Green Knight got nothing, but Nightmare Alley is up for Best Picture. Thankfully, there was talk of Kate Blanchett as Best Supporting Actress, and I'm like, no, God, please, no. And she did not get nominated. But, yeah, it's a close one. I say the 47 film is actually not bad. I'm just not a fan of Tyrone Power, so it was a struggle to watch an entire film with him as the lead character.
Another issue I had with that is between scenes, there seem to be gaps in story.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, what? How did we get here? And you have to figure it out in your mind.
The new one is far more in-depth.
The story is fluid.
Explaining what is going on and how the story is progressing. And you get the backstory of Stan, which I actually did kind of appreciate. In its cruel way, I did actually appreciate getting his backstory.
Yeah.
So, new one wins by a slight margin.
Yeah. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
And now let's roll for the next one.
Roll for the next one. Oh, dear.
We're going to do this more regularly now that I've gotten away from the circus.
Yeah. Now that you have escaped the circus. And as the dust has settled, we will continue to record a bit more frequently. So let's choose our next movie. Okay, the randomizer says number 6, and number 6 is RoboCop. Well, this will be an easy one for me, but it will be an interesting discussion.
So I've seen the original back when it, not when it was released, but when it was released to TV. On USA or something.
Version?
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay. If you have not seen the unedited RoboCop, you are in for a ride.
Oh, okay. And then I haven't seen the remake at all.
Okay. So next time on Refried Scenes, RoboCop. We will see you then.
Bye.